Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
Mike. Dan.
And this is Board Game Rundown, and today we are going to talk about After Us. After Us plays 1 to 6 players, and it takes place in the year 2083, where humans have been extinct for decades.
Yeah, bleak. Okay,
That's-
that was bleak.
That's problematic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Also fantastic. So in this game, we're basically playing as like monkeys and gorillas.
They're
and apes.
they're
and
apes.
chimps? Apes.
Tim.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
And we are
Assembling our tribe.
assembling our tribe, and it can have all different kinds of
Apes.
Thank you. In there, orangutans and
Yes.
fruit bats, and
Grape apes.
grape apes. Anyways. So in this game, it's essentially like a deck building, engine building kind of thing because
Yeah.
of,
Yeah, hand management, for sure.
a little bit. Because what's going to happen is on your turn, you're gonna draw cards from your deck,
4 of them.
and you are
Fact.
going to create a little chain with them. And so if you can complete a frame,
Yep.
here, Dan,
Dan, complete a frame.
if you can complete a frame,
Impossible. What?
you are going to resolve. You're going to resolve that from the top row.
Left to right.
Left to right.
Top row, middle row, bottom row.
So any completed frame, you're going to gain those
Maxes.
resources, and then you'll go down, and they're all optional. You don't have to spend the resource to get the points, and things like that, but you can. And then after everybody's gotten all the resources, you're going to choose an action, and they're all going to do different things.
Right.
Uh,
Because the one you choose is the type of ape you have to recruit.
you have to be able, yes.
Because you can only recruit one. Yes.
Correct. They're going to be only one. So the chimp here, he will allow you to repeat one of your frames,
Yep.
one of your completed frames. The gorilla is going to give you rage,
Yes.
which we'll get to what rage does in a moment. The baboon or whatever that guy is going to, Rafiki, is going to give you knowledge.
Yep.
And then the orangutan, who is named Clyde, will give you energy, batteries. And like Bob said, that is also now I've selected that is the card that I can buy from. Those are the decks I can buy from, and they've got a cost. And I appreciate how like sort of universal the costs are. So for a chimp, it is 3 of any of one of a kind, right? 3 of a
3
kind
identical resources.
of any of these 3.
Correct.
Or 6 to buy like an upgraded
Tier 2.
version. And then with the gorillas, you are
grains.
It's the grains. I thought of them as
They look like coffee
or
beans. Yeah,
coconuts.
I kept calling them beans, but yeah, they're grains.
Gorilla
Technically.
Okay, calm down.
Sure.
And then
I had no idea.
with the orangutans, it's the orange fruit here. So either 3 or 6. And again, with the Rafiki over there, it is 3 or 6. So it's all 3 or 6,
Yep.
which is really cool. And then you're going to get like these cards ramp up very
They
quickly.
ramp up very
Even
quickly.
the lower tier I found were really cool and do a lot of different things. But they're going to give you that's a lower tier card, and look how jacked that thing is.
Right.
I mean, there's so many
Compared to the
things in there.
standard one next to that,
Yeah.
way more abilities and stuff.
And so when you gain rage and things like that, you can spend 4 rage. It tells you right here on your player board. And you can cull a card from your
From your little lineup there.
from your lineup. So if I played these 4, I could then decide to cull one of them, and
Right.
it's out of the game.
And you do gain a resource for calling them. They all have a little icon up top
Yes.
with a little rage symbol. And when you call that card, you're going to gain that resource.
You're going to gain
that
that
you can
resource
use right away.
And even the upgraded, better
give you
cards
more.
give you more resources.
Yes.
So it was interesting to see in our game at the end. Sometimes it was like, well, I'm culling this card because it's
Right.
going to give me
Like 3 ideas.
some more of this stuff.
AKA points.
Yeah.
And then what triggered? Oh, end game is triggered by getting 80 points.
80 points.
Something.
Right, and one of the other things you left out is once you do reveal your token and
Oh.
you gain the bonus on top, you can spend 2 identical resources of any kind, including batteries, to copy any of the people adjacent to you, right? So it's kind of like a monkey see, monkey do, right? Like, oh, you're doing that? Yeah, I'll spend 2 resources to copy that ability also. But you can't do it with the people who are too far away because you can't see what they're doing.
Only your neighbors.
Yeah, only your neighbors, which I thought was super interesting. That's why I like to play with a higher player count and see how that could really work. We're like, man, I really wish I was sitting closer to Mike because he's doing something that I want to copy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, well, I can get my batteries and I know I'm going to be able to get some rage. Right. Like, okay, boom. So, yeah. And that's pretty much how the game goes. It's pretty fast.
Yep.
Everybody's
a lot of simultaneous play, which helps.
Yeah,
speed it
because you're
along.
just like everybody's just kind of gaining. Once everybody's figured out like how to gain their stuff,
how they want
like,
to arrange it.
Everybody can then just kind of go.
Yep.
And then with buying, because you don't know what card you're getting, it doesn't really matter
The order.
the order in which everybody buys stuff.
Correct.
Which is nice.
Right.
And I think also fixes a little bit of like the locked
Marketplace, yes.
Or he bought the card I wanted.
Right.
Well, I mean, he might have, but you didn't know what it was.
Well, the other interesting thing too is any of the new apes that you recruit are going to go to the top of your deck,
Yes.
so you get them right away.
Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
going to get them on your very first draw on your next turn. So
One of the other things that's available too is that you have these relics from a long lost past, humans, where you're spending batteries to do different abilities. And there's a nice breakdown on the back of the book that tells you what they all do, but they also say like what phase they can be used in, how many batteries it costs to use them, and then a small icon that tells you what they do.
And so like one of them will allow you to put one of your cards from your tableau just back on top of your deck, so you can play it again. And then the other one was just like batteries for victory points.
Right, which is really good. And like what Mike's picking up there is the play rate that everybody gets is fantastic. Like it's got a breakdown of the round overview, what you do when, and then on the back side it has all of the icons and all of the resources and what they mean. And it's
God, I hate
done
good
really,
player
I
rates.
know, right?
I hate
Yeah.
good player rates.
Yeah.
It is also worth pointing out that the insert is pretty solid.
Yeah, it
too.
works. I kept it in there. Something that I ended up doing is, actually it's happening with a lot of games now, is like when you punch out your games, save your punch boards. Try putting them underneath the insert, and that will lift the whole thing up, and it will keep stuff from sliding around when you have the box lid on there. So otherwise, if you throw those away, the inserts sit so low that any kind of standing it up, everything is going to go everywhere. But when you put those underneath, it lifts that insert up, so when you put everything in there, you put the rule book on top and the board, and you put the lid, everything is tight. And I was actually able to stand this up, and when you guys opened up, was everything everywhere? Everything was pretty much in this where it was
good.
supposed to be.
No, everything was everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So
What I think they should do is ship it with box lift, so then you don't have to do that.
well, sure. But then you have like your player boards here where you track your rage, and it gives you the icon reminder that you can spend 4 rage to call cards from your deck, and that was super handy also.
What is this ×3? What does that mean?
That just it's a shortcut, right? So if I have 3 of those, instead of like taking 3 of them, you put it in there. That's ×3.
Oh, I
have
see.
3 batteries.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little shortcut thing in case you're running low on resources.
That never came up
Yeah.
when
we
I
haven't
played
played
it.
with 6 though. So
Oh,
it might
right.
come up if you're playing with 6 and people
Sure.
are hoarding resources. You might need to use that space. But
Gotcha.
It hasn't arisen in our games we've played.
And then once you get to the end game, right, it's just points. There's no because you're not going to get extra points for your
No, your
cards in
deck
your
doesn't
deck
matter,
because you
nope.
have to pull them out of your deck
to
for
get
them
those
to be
points. Correct. Yeah,
And-
and you can actually end the game early on, like in a phase too. So if you're in phase 1 and you're scoring points during phase 1, you, like by triggering your frames, you can end the game and you don't even finish out the round. Like that's it. It ends at the end of the phase in which somebody hits the 80 points.
Right. So I mean, everybody in that phase will
Correct.
still get to get all their points.
Correct. Everybody finishes that phase by doing everything they
But
can.
you're not buying any other
Exactly.
cards
You're
or
not
things
choosing
like
one
that.
of these and getting points from that and stuff like that.
Right on. Right on. This game's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It really is.
Mhm.
The teach took a few minutes, and then honestly, it was spent more time trying to line up my stuff.
Trying to optimize that
in a
Oh,
good way.
Oh, but I want to get this ability. Oh, but then I can't get this one. Yeah.
In a good way. All right, let's go around and see what everybody thinks. Michael. Ooh,
Oh.
well done.
Tim and Dan.
Bob.
Oh, yay!
We just
Hey,
wanna-
Mike.
we just want to say everybody's name.
This game is really good. I know some people don't like multiplayer solitaire. This game is that. There is zero interaction in this game.
Small percentage with the
Yeah.
cop.
But it
the
doesn't.
muscle scene,
But it doesn't
yeah,
affect
that's
that
it.
part. That's
But
it.
it doesn't
But
affect
like, what
what you're.
I'm not going
Right.
to change what I'm doing because of what someone else is doing.
Right.
So there's zero There's 0.5%
There you go.
interaction in
There you
this.
go.
And that doesn't work for a lot of people. I have no issues with that at all. I just wanted to point it out. You are not interacting with other players. I am taking my 4 cards. I am sorting them how I want. I'm going to take the resources I want. There's nothing you can do to stop me. There's nothing you can do to stop me from taking the cards I want. But sorting these cards out is super fun. I really like the spatial puzzle of getting these frames to line up just perfectly. And then I just love the games that give me a bunch of stuff and then just let me do whatever I want to with that stuff. And this is that game. It's like, okay, I'm gonna take a grain, and then I get one of the blue things, and then more grain and blue things, and then orange thing. Okay, now I'm gonna spend the orange thing for points. I'm gonna spend my batteries for points, and that's just really satisfying on every turn. And that's just how it starts with basic cards, and you get cooler cards. You're like, whoa, this picked up quick. And it just ramps up so fast, and it feels super satisfying.
So you were
I
saying
like
you didn't
this.
like it.
I'm slightly
I was
less
bored
excited.
to tears. And when I say tears, I mean tears of enjoyment.
I was
Because-
bored to tears of enjoyment.
Yeah, just waiting on other players to catch me. No,
Yeah.
Bob won. But yeah,
Bad
I like
teacher.
this quite a bit. I didn't really look much into this one. I knew Bob had it, and we were going to play it. I'm like, okay, I'll just go into this blind. And I'm like, wow, this game's good. Yeah, I like this a lot.
Bobby.
Yeah, so I saw this at Gen Con. I saw it was pretty hot. I didn't get to pick it up there, unfortunately. But then our local game store had it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check this game out. It was super, like I said, it was super hot. So we took it. Tim was in here doing something. Dan and I went in the back. We looked through the book. We started playing it, and it just started ramping up. And like 20 minutes in, and we're just like, yeah, this is fun. We were having a good time doing it. I really enjoyed what I was doing. Like Mike said, like that puzzle of moving things around, then you start getting the upgraded cards, and you start calling out these like earlier ones because they're not as strong. And once you have like 3 or 4 of those upgraded cards in a row, you're doing so much in a turn. You're just zipping around like with all these like ideas that you're earning and everything. Like really enjoyed that resource management bit of it. And then like I was like, I know he said like 0 player interaction, but I was trying to game. I'm looking at Tim's resources. I'm like, he's got a lot of those beans, so he's either going to get a gorilla or he's going to get a chimp. So I'm going to do this chimp so I can repeat my thing and hope that he does the gorilla so I can get his rage, copy that rage so I can get 4 to call my guy. And like it's kind of like that little like mini game within a game. Yeah, and I really enjoyed that part of it too. And like I said, great player aid. You can basically teach the game from the player aid. Anytime you can do that, that's awesome. I liked it so much. I literally, after we got done playing it, went and got some sleeves for it because I knew it was gonna be hitting the table a lot. This is one that I will be reaching for, asked to play, get people to play because you're done in 45 minutes. And like I haven't played with 6, so maybe with 6 it takes a little bit longer. But the simultaneous play really cuts down on the game length. So yeah, super enjoyable. I really like it. And like, the Hear No Evil, See No Evil chimps are like my favorite like
I
things,
saw that.
and it's on the color that I play all the time. So yeah,
I saw
that
that
was
yesterday
that
when
was
we were looking
awesome.
at I was looking at
really
the player boards
appreciated
and
that.
stuff.
Mhm.
So you didn't like it either.
I didn't care for it.
Dan.
I'm slightly less excited than these guys. This was a good game. I like the hand management. Gives me the feeling of Marvel Remix. What's the original called?
Fantasy Realms.
Thank you. Brain fart. The hand management gives me that feeling of Fantasy Realms where you're just like, okay, how do I build the most efficient hand? Like, and also, you don't care who sees your hand because they can't really affect you. So like, instead of like, because for the first couple of rounds, Bob and I were like kind of going like this, and then eventually we just slapped it down on the table.
I
And
played the whole game with him just like
Like
that.
that.
Just like
we
that.
literally looked at each other and we were like, why are we hiding our cards?
Yeah, it was
like,
irrelevant.
It was just like instinct in a game to not let them know. But so, and then you're just sliding them around and trying to figure out the most efficient thing to do. It's just a really good feeling here. Like again, Fantasy Realms is an amazing game, and this gives me that same feeling. It's not the same thing, but it gives me that same feeling of how I'm manipulating my hand and building the most efficient thing. Man, I had this one build going where I had like turn 1 battery into 4 points, and then I had a card that was repeat any action on a card. And so it was just like, okay, I'll spend 2 batteries for 8 points. Like it was insane the things that you can get going. It's a really good feeling game. I don't love the face down market. It's so depressing to not be able to build what you want. Like I totally get why they did it. It makes, first of all, it makes the simultaneous game work flawlessly, and that's very nice in a game like this. You know, having all this stuff that you're kind of doing, it all makes sense to be simultaneous. So hiding the cards means it doesn't matter who takes what card first because you don't know what you're getting. I could have seen something. I just like throwing random ideas out there. I could have seen something to where the top card is like this, and when you're getting cards, you're getting them from the bottom, so it's still blind, but you could do something special to take the top card or something. I don't know. I just like getting weird mixed ideas in there. But yeah, I agree with Bob that there is that interesting player reading. When it was just Bob and I playing together, which I beat him by the way. When it was just Bob and I playing together, there was definitely like I would look at Bob's stuff and be like, okay, what's he doing? I wasn't doing it every single time, but like when it mattered, if I was like, man, I really need 2 batteries right now, but like also I could complete, X card buy if I got this, so I'm going to try to do whichever one Bob doesn't, right? Like, that definitely does happen, and I also don't love solitaire games, which you brought up. I play games for the social interaction. That's the only reason I'm in this hobby. I find it more social and fun than video games, and so I switched to board games. And so when a game feels too solitaire, it does take me out of it a bit. Unless the game is amazing. And I don't know if I'd say this game's amazing, I guess, but it's really good. What you're doing here, again, Fantasy Realms is a game that's mostly solo. Like, yeah, what players are discarding you can buy, but sure, I'm not telling them what to discard, you know? I'm just building my own hand. But when games are that good, that the engine that they have built makes you forget that there's other people sitting at the table doing the same thing as you, that is fantastic game design, and this game does that. Other than that, though, everything they mentioned, yeah, these things are fun. Player rate's fantastic. Everything they mentioned is true. And I think they did a great job here. I liked seeing that there's enough options in this game that you see people building differently. You know, when Bob and I were first playing, I was clearly doing a rage build. I was building up rage constantly and using it, and getting it, and using it, and culling other cards that didn't have it and everything. And then eventually, halfway through the game, that's the one thing. It's not negative, but it has the same thing that happens in Space Base, to where you get halfway through the game and all of a sudden it just turns into turn stuff into victory points. Not that you have to do that. It's just a very efficient thing to do in Space Base, and you feel it in this too. You build up your engine as much as you can and get as much as you can in the first half. And then the second half is activate this for points, discard this for points, activate this for points, discard this, and just like, and race around that track. You don't have to do that. You can win without it, but it's a good strategy. Right. So that's something. But yeah, good game After Us. I didn't know anything about it when I first played it. I really like the box art. It has that Robinson Crusoe look, and I really like that. Yeah, just good job, guys, people. You did a great job.
So, when you are at the level of like in the hobby like we are, right? And this is just from experience and time, like anything. Sometimes you go off of like brand recognition. Okay, so Pandasaurus, I do love Dinosaur Island. I know Mike doesn't, Dan doesn't. I think Dinosaur Island's super fun. I enjoy it quite a bit. Then for me, Pandasaurus has kind of had a lot of flops, like things that I have not enjoyed near as much or been excited about. So despite the incredible box art, because I think the art throughout this entire game is stunning and fantastic, I was like, Pandasaurus, and kind of dismissed it. Like 100%. We had the, yeah, you're right. We had the opportunity to play it yesterday and everything, and I was just like, oh, like this is really good. Like it was, sometimes, and we talk about this with other games, sometimes you play a game and just like a couple turns in, you're just like, I'm obsessed with this thing. Mm-hmm. Like I want to play the solo mode. We were at a like a very small local convention. There was a vendor. They announced that they were having a sale like towards the end of the show, and I'm like, I know that they've got this over there. Mm-hmm. So I went over and bought it on sale. That's how good it was. It was so good that I was disappointed we didn't have to play it again before reviewing because Dan had already played it. Like, dang it, I wanted to play it. I really, really like this game. This game just, sometimes I don't, like Dan, I like board games for the solo, or the solo. For the social.
Just like
sure.
him.
Yeah. We're basically the same person.
Yeah. We just alienate everybody around us, so we have to play solo.
Yeah.
No, for the social interaction, right? Like I love the social interaction. But this game, I was having so much fun. It was so obsessed with what I was trying to do. I didn't have time. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, I could do this. Yeah. Okay, so I'm doing this, and you start getting all your stuff.
You're building your hand, and then you look up and you're like, oh my God, you guys are still here?
Yeah. Well, everybody turned into apes. Yeah. It's like I've been doing so long. It was 2083. But no, like if this game didn't have the ability to be like simultaneous while you're doing stuff, I think it would drag out.
Yes.
But that is not a factor.
Right.
I get what Dan's saying about the market, but it was also like my eyes like popped out of my skull with surprise when I even just bought like a chimp card. I'm like, oh, these are probably like the weakest ones, like a tier 1, whatever. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like it was awesome. Like there's so many things on here. And then when you start getting the tier 2 cards and you're like, what? It's just really cool. I found it really satisfying. And then it was really fun because like in deck builder, sometimes for me, the enjoyment I get out of a deck builder is like, okay, so what kind of badass hand am I going to draw right now and be able to put together like a really good combo? And then that would happen, right? Because you could
Get the card
you
right
could buy
away.
the card, you put it right on top, and so you know you got at least one really good card in there. And then it's like, but if I got like 2 or 3, even
Right.
better. And then you just start laying them out, and you're like, oh, the possibilities.
Yeah, and it's easy to call some of those starter cards from
Yes.
your deck, so you are drawing those better cards
And-
more often.
And
Built-in culling, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
So nice.
and to Dan's point, yes, it can be a little space-basy at the end where everybody's now
Just converting to points.
rushing to get the points. But this does not overstay its welcome for
Right.
me, like
Sure.
Space Base tends
It
to
can,
do.
yes.
This felt very brisk. And like I got up this morning, I read the solo rules, and I was like, man, do I have time to try to play it? No, I need to read the rules for a different game. Like I wanted to play this solo. I read the solo rules. I'm like, I could play this solo pretty easily because it doesn't do much. You're just kind of racing an AI that auto generates points.
Nice.
And then you're just trying to beat it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm fine with that because
Right.
that would also allow you to try out a bunch of different
Right.
strategies.
And that's
try
what
out
you
different
enjoy
things.
about the Terraforming Mars solo. You're just trying to hit that goal.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and also that takes an hour and a half off at Terraforming Mars.
Right.
Where this would take a 40-minute
so
game
that-
and turn it into like a 20-minute
20-minute game,
Yeah,
sure,
so
yeah.
that turns Terraforming Mars into like only a 5-hour.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. But like this game for me was almost so good that I will not like just blindly dismiss a Pandasaurus game. At least not for a
Nice.
little bit.
Right. You'll give it a chance.
I also really like. I want to look because I haven't been through the rulebook. I want to look up because we're building a tribe, and it's like clearly these are the warriors, these are the engineers, these are the scientists, and these are like the leaders or something, right? Like that's why they have those abilities.
Yeah.
You know. And I just want to know what the theme is in the world that
Oh,
they've built
sure.
here. There's clearly a theme that they've built there that they haven't like. It's not like it's on all the cards like the howling monkey,
theme.
like kind
Yeah.
of thing. But it's clearly a thought out thing here of these are fighters and like scientists
Right.
and engineers or something because of batteries and light bulbs and the fighting thing. So I'd be interested in figuring out what's going on here. And also, like, I would not doubt with what I see here, more games coming out in this universe.
Oh
I
yeah,
wouldn't
you
doubt
got
that
a
either.
very cool universe you could build on. You just have to keep the same art.
I want to point
yeah.
out that if you had, let's just say you had every market, every card face up, that's now 8 cards in the market. You probably double the playtime of this game
you're
because
looking
then
at it
every
AP
person's
and-
gonna be okay.
No, yeah.
If I get this one, then I don't have the resources
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that yet.
I don't mean it as a negative at all. I just always drawing blindly can be a little uninteresting to me.
I like how unique it is that it completely eliminates the downtime of waiting for someone to pick a card, which is the biggest issue that deck builders can have is waiting for someone to buy the card.
And then they buy the one that you were building up to try
Right.
to.
Oh well, I
Yeah.
don't have that one now, and
Right.
and it's just it's the exact same resources for every single card. And I think for the flow of this game, it works perfectly because it makes everything work simultaneously and eliminates downtime.
Right. And like each one does have their specialties, but they all do kind of do everything.
Right.
So you're not really missing out if someone takes a
Right.
gorilla. Well, your next gorilla is going to do basically the same kind of thing, but it's just tweaked a little bit different.
Right, and then when I had a gorilla card that had like, oh, I need other types of gorillas to like trigger that, right?
Uh-huh.
You know, like you need like 3 different kinds or whatever, or 4.
Well, they have different kinds of apes, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But
Yeah.
like, so then it's like, okay, well now I'm not just gonna buy these
Really?
because now I want to
You
get
wanna
some of these other
diversify.
ones to try to, you know,
Right.
and then
Rewards
what
you
was
for
fun
being
is that
diversified.
steered me like to try out some of the other cards even like naturally.
Right.
I thought it was really good.
That's the natural.
Naturally.
Amazing Vincent Dutray art. I didn't pay attention to these earlier, but you got like an old like
PC,
Pentium 2E over here, and you got
A
what
Super
looks like a
Nintendo?
Super Nintendo here,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is pretty cool.
Trademarks. Oh no,
I know, we've just got sued by Nintendo. So.
Yeah.
That's
My bad.
cool.
there
No,
goes
this
the show.
I loved everything about this game. The presentation, the way it plays,
Yeah.
everything. It was very cool. This game is beautiful. It's very intuitive and really neat. We should probably give this a rating though, guys.
Okay.
Daniel,
What?
how do we do the ratings for this thing?
Oh, you want me to explain that?
Yeah,
1
see,
to 10.
That's so out of character.
I know, right?
What he said. We're gonna give it a 1 through 10 individually. Then at the end, we're gonna average that all together so that there's just one score for Board Game Geek, Discord, and the like. Take it away, Tim.
Woo! Thank you, sir. Well done. All right, Mr. Mike.
I give this an 8.5. I think this game is really good. This gives me similar vibes to Earth, and that's because I am building my own little engine here that other people can't really interact with or really take things other than there's community goals. But I get a similar vibe where I'm working my own engine and nobody can really mess with my engine, and I really like that. I really enjoyed what this game does, how quickly you breeze through it. There's a sweet spot for me with games. If you can support 6 and play the game in roughly an hour, I seek out games like that, because once like a 5th person shows up to game night, you're like, well, we can't play any of those games, you know, unless you break into a group of 2 or 3, and nobody wants to play a 2-player game when there's a group of people together, you know, unless it's Sky Team, I'll allow it. But yeah, it just, so I look for games that play in about an hour and accommodate 6, and this does that, and it does it very well. It's an 8.5.
Bobby.
I thumped the table because that's twice now that Mike has given the game a score that I was going to give it. It's an 8.5. I'm glad I bought it. It's going to hit the table a lot. Actually, after we played it, like I said, I went and I bought these sleeves that fit perfectly on here, and it was fantastic. I can't wait to play it again. Like I said, I was a little bummed, but I actually asked, like, so what else do we have to do today? We could actually play it again if we want to, but time, unfortunately, did not permit. But it is an 8.5 for me.
Dan.
Hi. It's a really good game. I land on an 8. I think I also just personally feel I need to play it a bit more to really get the depth here, because there's some cool stuff going on, and I just don't feel like I can fully appreciate what this game is offering yet. And I'm going to land on an 8.
Sure. For me, it's a 9. I woke up this morning obsessed with this game. I bought it literally hours
Right
after I played it, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, it's right there. Because I was like, okay, well, I'm probably going to buy that game. And then it's like, oh, they're going to have a sale on it. Well, I'm going over and just buying it right now. Because they had it. I just won it. I think it's beautiful. I love it. I'm going to play the solo mode tonight.
Nice.
You know, like, I'm already like, all right, I'm going to sleeve it. I'm going to do this. I can't get it out of my brain.
Nice.
I think it's really good. It's probably one of my favorite games of the year so far.
Nice.
So
Wow.
Cool. So if we take all our scores and we average them together, boop, 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 Mike and I were right, 8.5.
pump the brakes.
Yeah.
7.9.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And just so you know, this is Bob's copy we're playing. We were not sent this. This is or anything like that. And,
My hard-earned money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he earned it, kind of.
I'll trade you jobs.
Panhandling. But if you found this video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and comment on the video. Let us know what you think. And if you'd like to support the show in monetary fashion, we do have a Patreon, and that will help us keep continuing to produce hopefully really fun, exciting content for you guys. But even that, if you can't or don't want to, that's fine too. Leave us a comment. All of that is amazing. Hang out with us on our Discord or on our Facebook group. We're there, we're active, and we're doing stuff all the time. Anything else, guys?
Anything else, guys?
Nope, I don't
Anything
think so.
else?
Are you aping
Bob?
me?
Are you aping me?
I'll go ahead and say, so these are perfect fit sleeves from Dragon Shield, and they're fantastic. They fit perfectly. They fit right in the box and everything still. So
Weird.
There you go.
Mind blown.
Mind blown. Yeah.
All right, guys, for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Mike.
Dan?
Thanks for watching.
And you can say the title's only 3 words.